Hello and
Hello.
welcome to the show. I'm here with Husky. Now,
Yay.
Husky was messing about doing some drag racing and noticed very interesting things occur at this area.
The launching area.
The launching area for drag racing basically makes cars go a bit crazy. I'm not sure what they've done to this area, but it means cars do this
Yes.
and that, and it's just ridiculous. Basically, you have insane levels of grip in this very small area of the track. So cars can do humongous wheelies, and it's not just sort of your rear-engine rough. All sorts of vehicles can do crazy stuff. I'm just messing about with my Lancia Delta. Look at that. It's just genuinely ridiculous. There is lots of bouncing going on.
There's a wall there.
There is a wall. There is the slight downside to this.
We can't climb the wall. We can't do the Great Escape either.
We have tried.
Yes.
We spent a while trying. But no, you can do absolutely massive wheel stands in this particular area. I'm going to show you what it's like from the onboard view. You see a lot of sky, and then all of a sudden a lot of floor. Wait for it. Wait for it. Floor, and when we get going again, all to the sky, and then floor again.
That can't be a proper Lancia either. All the gauges appear to be working.
Yeah.
Unless they've been drawn on with a protractor.
That is true. Gauges are currently functioning. But yeah, this is just an absolutely ridiculous area of the track. Now, of course, with the rough, you have huge weight distribution over the rear of the car, and while the Lancia is sort of mid-engined, you do have quite a lot of weight over the rear of the car. It's not as much as the Porsche, which means that off lots of a normal start, it won't do this kind of thing. But in this area, it'll do all sorts of craziness.
Not quite.
Almost got it. I tried for a while. I couldn't get it to roll over forwards. It just gets caught on the bumper a little bit too much. So, with the Lancia successfully wheeling, I'd have a go with another Group B rally car, a Ford RS200. And off the launch, it kind of does a bit of a ish wheelie. Not the most spectacular. However, there is a little bit of a trick to getting this car to wheelie properly. You have to put it in reverse and then boot it, and there we go. That's more like it.
It tries.
Yeah, it tries. The RS200's not the best car for wheeling. However, it is still pretty cool. Now,
I think it's slightly more mid-engined, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's the weight distribution is a little bit different. Also, the big problem when you're getting car or you're trying to get cars to do this, something that you never normally think about is overhangs on the front and the rear of the car. The shorter the overhangs, the better it can wheelie and the better it can kind of stoppie. And of course, you want quite a high ride height, which is why I'm using rally cars, because rally cars.
Unless Forza decides that there's just a thing there, like some cars.
Yeah, yeah. There's occasional, slightly invisible hitbox going on.
Another thing you never would have thought is tyre heat.
Yeah, tyre heat. This is an interesting one that it affects the Ford as well. Initially, I thought it was tyre wear, like when you're prattling around. After a few attempts, the car will stop doing wheelies, or it'll stop doing stoppies and stop doing wheelies and whatever. Only some vehicles are affected by this. I turned the tyre damage off, so this is all on cosmetic damage, and it will still stop after a while. Yeah, there's lots of sun. So the only thing, we come to the conclusion, the only thing that can be affecting, the only thing that's changing is tyre heat. The hotter the tyres are, the less likely the car is to wheelie. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense, because it should be the other way around. This is the only American muscle car we could get to really do anything.
And guess who's driving this one?
Yes, it would be Husky in the very American Corvette.
Yeah. But yeah, that car, it would kind of do a bit of a wheelie from launch. It was more of a drag car wheelie when you see them launch, and it'd do a little bit, but not a lot. The real trick used to be was to just... I've played around for a while. There's a certain speed it likes where it will go almost all the way onto the sort of silver chrome strip it's got, but then Forza stops it and just decides. It does the same with the front as well, that you can't get it over that tiny little spike. I'm sure if you could, then it would probably do a front flip or something like that, but
yeah,
I think I was messing around going backwards.
Yeah, the American muscle cars are by far the hardest things on here to really get to do much, because all of them are front-engined, which means they have a lot of weight over the front. Launching them is very hard to get them to wheelie.
This one wasn't this bad with the weight distribution, though.
This is the only one that has under a 50% weight distribution.
46.
Yeah, to the front, which is peculiar. There we go. This is some wheelie there, and a massive stoppie going on. So yeah, this area of track means that cars can do absolutely ridiculous Pretty much wheel stands. You're basically standing it on the back of the car. I was hoping to get a car to do just a backflip from launch. Unfortunately, we couldn't. There we go. That was a decent wheelie.
That was a wheelie.
From
then the speed happens.
Then there's lots of speed. So, having seen what was happening when the cars were under very heavy braking in this area, I wanted to try and get a car to front flip. So I want to be able to sort of slam on the brakes with the car and get it to tumble over forwards. I started with a Fiat 500. The idea being with this car,
crash.
I may have done that because the back wheels are in the air. So I'll forgive myself that one. The idea with this vehicle is it's got tiny, tiny overhangs. So when you put on the brakes, it should, well, the theory was it should go over. Problem is, the 500 Abarth is also very low to the ground, it turns out. And sort of the minute you slam on the brakes, you see that like, the front of the car dives down, and it just gets caught on the bumper. And absolutely nothing happens.
It won't do anything more, yeah.
It skidded along quite a long time on the front
bumper.
Yeah, it will go most of the way. Once I put on the brakes, it'll go. Oh, it did sort of a double. I don't even know what's going on there with
physics failed it.
Yeah, physics got it awfully confused with the 500, but it wouldn't roll over just because the bumper's getting caught on the floor. If you put the brakes on outside of this super grip zone, it still happens. It will do this anywhere. Pretty much anywhere or any track, it will still try and do a sort of an odd front flip.
Oh lord!
Now, I was thinking ride height might be important, so we wanted a car with some decent ride height. So naturally, a Land Rover comes to mind. This is a 1,180 horsepower Land Rover. It's somewhere like that. It's
a very scary Land Rover.
It's a terrifying Land Rover.
Whoop.
Unfortunately, I may have lost the exhaust.
You've lost something there.
Something fairly important. It doesn't quite front flip. It kind of gets almost there and then twists. It also has...
It's getting a bit upset there.
Yeah, basically what happens, unfortunately the replay cameras aren't excellent for this bit, the suspension is so wonky on this thing, when you put it on its side, it gets confused what to do with the wheels and keeps pinging around and doesn't want to right itself. So, yeah, it's got such wonky suspension the game can't deal with it. As you can see, I'm just sort of messing around a little bit outside of the grip zone now. Yeah, again, while this car has huge ride height, which is very important for this kind of thing, it's the overhangs, the front bumpers that just get caught on the floor. As you see, again, it's a very similar thing going on with it.
I love how when it bottoms out, it just bounces itself back up.
Yeah, it bounces all over the place. I don't think I've ever seen a Land Rover do.
I'd be worried if I seen a Land Rover do that.
Well, yeah, to be fair, any car doing this. I've never seen a Land Rover do such quite a ridiculous wheelie. But that's probably the furthest wheelie I did. I did get caught on the wall a little bit. Yeah, the Land Rover, absolutely ridiculous car. I should point out, we did get this to front flip once. I cannot do it again. Husky watched it.
I saw it, but we could not recreate it as it just do that.
Every time I've tried since, it does that. And unfortunately, the one where I did get it to properly front flip, we're in a multiplayer.
We were in it,
and we couldn't save the replay.
Turn 10.
Yeah. Can we have multiplayer free plays, please? But as it is, it will do ridiculous wheelies, it will do ridiculous stoppies or endos. However, it won't quite do a front flip. So, another Jeep, again...
No, we're having a jelly Jeep.
We were having a proper jelly Jeep with this one. Yeah, again, huge ride height, thought this might work. It's very similar. Very similar problem. Slightly less power in this one. I think it was around 800 horsepower.
Only 800.
Yes, only got 800 horsepower. To be fair, that's probably one of the least powerful cars here. Everything is pretty much got all the engine upgrades you can possibly have, getting as much power as possible out of the cars. And yeah, it's the bodywork. The ride height is high. But the minute you kind of slam on the brakes...
That suspension had a bit of a weird... Like when it bounces down, it seems that it moves all of the suspension.
Yeah, it does act a bit weird.
It wobbles.
On the Jeep. Yeah, it's basically the overhang of the bodies. When you slam on the brakes on this, the front will go down, it will do a massive dive because of the fairly high ride height, but the front bumper will hit the floor and you're not going to front flip. You'll do silly things with it. There will be many a silly thing occurring in this Jeep. However, there won't be a front flip, which was a little bit disappointing. It will skid along on its nose, though, for quite a long way.
That was the main mission.
Yeah. Now...
another guess whose car this is.
If it's in camouflage, it means it's Husky driving.
Mine. And it's gone over.
And it's almost...
This was my G-Wagon that I think had... I'm probably going to pronounce that wrong. I think this had about 900 horsepower. It was, and I picked this because I thought the ride height, once again, as it turns out, it really likes to go over because the weight distribution is near enough directly in the middle, so you can do massive wheelies and stoppies with it. And it seems to, it does get caught on the front bumper, but after a while it just goes over that point and you do a front flip like so. And we're going for a bit of a physics defying.
I'm not quite sure if that's a front flip and a half twist, I think.
A side on.
In that one. So go have another look at the cockpit view. Yeah, the G-Wagon also gets pretty big wheelies outside of the grip zone again. Most of these cars won't do very much, you see.
It attempts, but it can't do much more.
Yeah, it'll kind of bounce around on the suspension, but it won't actually do anything crazy. I also wouldn't recommend driving any of these vehicles if you get motion sickness. From on board, they are very, very bouncy. However, on this run, we did manage to get a pretty much perfect front flip. There's a little bit of a twist at the end.
Bonk.
But it landed, which is good enough for me. So, you can do a front flip in Forza 5. I wasn't expecting to say that.
Yeah, with a G-Wagon of all cars.
Yeah, with the Mercedes G-Wagon. This is the outside view of the front flip. You lost a couple of points on the landing, but it actually went over. So
never stick the landing.
Yeah, it's close enough, and we're going to have a big wheel stand to finish, and there's a wall there as well. If only we'd have a longer area out of the back. So while I was messing about with the Fiat 500, I noticed it would do this. I found this completely by accident, but you can actually get the car to wheelie in reverse. I don't know. Should that work? I don't think it should.
Well, it's kind of just like making the car rear-wheel drive, rear-engined. Kind of. A little bit. I don't think it would work with reverse gear ratios, but you know.
That's the big problem with this. It does on the Fiat. It doesn't really work very well because the front bumper is so low. So I had to go with a VW Rabbit, and it's safe to say this does reverse wheelie rather spectacularly.
Rather scary.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely terrifying trying to control this thing. It won't quite do a front flip either. It's got this silly. It's got
the 1980s safety bumpers on it.
Yeah, and if it didn't have that, I think it probably would do a kind of a front flip because it keeps getting caught on that. This thing does ridiculous reverse wheelies. They are, unfortunately, it doesn't quite have the gearing as it's in reverse. We tried fiddling with the gear ratios, but it doesn't work the same way as it did in Forza 4, so you can't really lengthen reverse. So yeah, it doesn't quite have the length of wheelie of some of the other cars, but it's a fairly silly sight.
Dear. Yeah, that was I think the good thing with the reverse wheelie cars as well, you could half control them because the steering wheels were still on the ground.
Yeah, you did have.
So you could attempt to keep it in a straight line. If you were very good, I never could do it.
No, it's so hard. Like it's over so quickly. You have very little time to do anything. This is an onboard footage from the.
There's the tree
from the Rabbit. Yeah, there's all sorts of god. It's again fairly terrifying. Being on board in these cars because it's just flawed. I don't think I've ever done a reverse wheelie ever in a video. Oh, there's the sun again.
There's always a first for everything.
There is. So yeah, the Rabbit is very good for reverse wheelies. Of course, if you try to do a reverse wheelie, you want as much weight over the front of the car and over the front wheels, and the Rabbit is pretty good for that. I think
the Rabbit's very light as well.
Yeah, it's fairly light in general. So
how has a Kia escaped onto our track?
Yes, a Kia has escaped onto the test track because it will do that. I was looking for other cars to have a go with to do silly things,
it's a Kia.
It is a Kia Ceed that wheelies in reverse and kind of stoppies as well.
A little bit.
This has got the same engine as the Rabbit, I should point out. These have got the 3.7 V6 from the NSX. I think it's that engine size. They're both putting out about 800 horsepower. So it's not particularly surprising that it does silly wheelies, but seeing a Kia Ceed in reverse doing a wheelie is possibly the most ridiculous sight I've ever seen in a game ever.
I can't say I've ever seen a Kia do that because they didn't even do anything funny on Forza 4. They were just slow.
No. I don't think I've ever experimented putting huge power, but you can't really get much power in Forza 4 on these things because you can't engine swap anything interesting into them. So yeah, a Kia Ceed has enough weight over the front to be able to do pretty damn impressive reverse wheelies. Unfortunately, the front bumper is a little bit low, and it gets caught on that. Also, the tyres go wonky very, very quickly on this. It's pretty much done all it's going to do now.
Yeah, apparently after about 2 or 3 launches, your tyres are just cooked, and then that's the only thing we can think of.
It wasn't particular. I guess you could leave it for a while, let the tyres cool down, and then have another go. But yeah,
you could, but we got bored.
Yeah, we got bored of waiting. So yeah, there we go. You can indeed reverse wheelie a Kia Ceed. Now,
so then I went to have a go with a Mini for reasons of Minis.
Yeah, I was a bit sceptical that the Mini would probably just get caught on the floor like everything else. Turns out I was wrong.
No. This thing had the engine I put in. It was the 2-litre Honda i4. I don't know what Honda it's out of.
That is a very impressive 180 turn there.
Yes. Italian job should have taken some marks from this. But it had about 700 horse to the front, which was, it meant it would not put any power down. You could set off in 6th and do a burnout all the way down the strip, but it would do kind of a very impressive reverse wheelie and a stoppie.
Yeah, so you go for a little bit of speed, going for a run-up,
Speed.
for the front flip, and the Mini's gone over.
And it's gone over again.
Again, not quite stuck the landing, but that is a double front flip.
That was the most terrifying thing from first person. I've never been able to do it since.
No,
can't do it.
There've been many singular front flips for the Mini. The Mini's very, very easy to get it to do absolutely crazy things. Because it's so light, it's got quite a lot of weight. In fact, it's got an awful lot of weight over the front, I believe.
It's near in the 30s for front weight, and I've rolled over.
It is, yeah, it's a crazy vehicle, this one. You can do all sorts of wacky things with it. Apparently, there we go, there's some more...
Bit physics defying there.
There is some more interestingness going on.
Oh,
as he did say that he did get it to kind of do a launch backflip. Again, it was one of those things that happened once that we cannot repeat.
Yeah.
When it came to
it kind of just fell on its roof, but it did do something. I've never been able to do it since.
It's one of those things. It's kind of annoying. Again, outside of the grip zone, even all of the craziness in the Mini.
It will, like I said, it will attempt it, but it just makes it uncontrollable.
They'll kind of nosedive. They might lift the wheels off the ground a little bit. I think this is the onboard.
Is this the double front flip? You'll see how scary this is.
And over
and up we go.
Now, there's an interesting thing with getting these cars to do sort of front flips, getting them to do proper endos and stuff. You might be wondering why we don't take a bigger run-up to get them to do even crazier things.
Speed doesn't help.
Speed does not help at all. Not only are you going to go barreling straight into the wall because you're not going to get stopped, if you are going a lot faster and you put the brakes on, some of the cars may kind of lift up the back wheels, but they won't do anything as spectacularly as we get in here.
It's like a set speed.
Yeah, so around sort of 70, 80 miles an hour is good. It just falls around all over the place.
No.
Yeah, I have no idea
I was just laughing at the speedo as well, how fast that'd top out.
Oh yeah, the speedos and all the rev counters
on
about
here 80.
would probably be pretty useless. So I'm going to show you now how we built. All of these cars were built in exactly the same manner. So if you're going to experiment with this, you want to have a go with cars like this yourself, there are some important statistics to take into mind, not necessarily the things that you normally look at. The first thing is weight distribution. You want to have as much weight, well, it depends on what you want to be doing. If you want to be doing a wheelie, you want to have as much weight over the back, so you want to have a smallest percentage over the front of the car as possible. You also are going to need a lot of power. That's kind of important because you want it to be, you want it to be wheeling as much as possible. Now you can experiment with the weight reduction, because sometimes when you put weight reduction on, it changes.
It's a bit of an odd one, because if I put the weight reduction on the Mini, it doesn't do anything of what it does. But if you put the standard weight reduction on it, it does all the craziness. It's dependent on the car. But
some cars, again, are the other way around. Of course, you've got your drivetrain swaps. You might want to put... You're definitely going to want a car either rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive. Engine swaps are another thing to consider. But you've got to think about, like, some engines are heavier than others. So if you want... if it's a mid-engine car, you probably want a heavier engine. You want to put more weight over the back. If it's a front-engine car that you're going to try and properly wheelie, then you're going to have to you want a very light engine in the front. Gear ratios, you're going to want a short first and second gear to get the car to launch fairly quickly. This is what you do with the suspension. This is what has been done with all of the cars. They have got basically everything to soft, pretty much on the springs and on the dampers. Ride height is absolutely essential for this. You want a car with as much ride height as possible. So rally cars are a good choice. Rally cars, Jeeps, and so on. I did try a Ford GT40, as it's got a lot of weight distribution to the back of the car. It's just too low. You can't get the car high enough.
I tried after this for the Jeep side. I tried Ford Raptor, and that wouldn't do anything either. For some reason, it just wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, there's also an element of bodywork getting caught on the floor. Certain vehicles have problems with bodywork getting caught on the floor. Now, one thing people keep saying, or a lot of people commented when we did the rough wheelie thing, that I should have stiffer rear suspension. Now, you can do this. This Datsun is running very stiff rear suspension.
This was my little, and the same engine as the Mini, but yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, because you can get it, if you can get it to stand on its rear wheels and boot it right, it will stay on the rear wheels. You can do long wheelies with it, but it's getting it on the rear wheels that's so hard. Like then, if I had a soft suspension, it probably would have leaned all the way back and you'd have gone on the back wheels, but it won't do anything, not unless you nail it.
It's very, very difficult. A car with very stiff rear suspension, it's very hard to actually just get it to wheelie, to get it to launch wheelie in the first place. When this car ran the incredibly soft suspension, it would launch wheelie fairly spectacularly.
It would also do a front flip.
Yeah, it was also front flipping. With the very stiff rear suspension, it spent the most time on its rear wheels. If you got it right. The only way Husky could get it to go on its rear wheels, though, with this very stiff suspension, is to go from reverse to first. Basically, if you get it absolutely right, there we go. You can get a pretty damn spectacular wheelie, but it's a lot harder to get it to do it. I think it does a very tiny launch wheelie.
I do it somewhere. But yeah, it was. You can. I think after I tried messing around with it again to see if there was a bit of a middle ground with the stiffness, but not entirely, because if you set it a little bit softer, it would just kind of wobble and not do a lot. If you set it obviously all the way soft, it'd do its crazy front flipping again. So there's a bit of a fine line. It is.
Yeah, in general, though, with the softer the suspension, the easier it is to get the cars to do all sorts of crazy stuff. So, yeah, there we go. That was that was interesting vehicles. It's great fun. We've spent probably 5 or 6 million credits between us.
And about an entire night.
Yeah, we spent a long time getting cars to do absolutely crazy things in that tiny area of Forza. It is the most interesting area of track on Forza 5.
Yep.
Just getting the cars to do absolutely crazy things. So yeah, have a go yourself. See what cars you can get to do absolutely ridiculous things in that area. It is good fun, although you probably will spend quite a lot of money just messing about with vehicles. Anyway, that is it for this video, guys, so thank you very much for watching. If you have challenges or things you'd like to see us investigate, please do leave them in the comment section. I'll have a look through, and my favourites or the most popular will be in a video at some point. However, until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.